Coming up today, can Spurs catch PSG cold in the Super Cup final? Jack Grealish officially joins Everton, and why the Premier League is going to get a little bit more red zone. It's Sammy James here on Wednesday, August the 13th. Welcome to First Up Football. Tonight, it is the Super Cup final in Udine, Italy, the annual match between the winners of the Champions League and the winners of the Europa League. On the Champions League side, we have Paris Saint-Germain, who back in May smashed Inter in Munich.
Barkley gives it back to him and he's it's in! It's number 5 and he can't believe it, look at it!
Then on the Europa League side, we have Tottenham Hotspur, who sneaked past Manchester United in one of the worst European finals ever.
Sarr delivers the cross in towards Brennan Johnson, it's in!
But it doesn't matter how you win a European trophy, so long as you do. And this match is one of the rewards. For Spurs, this is their first time appearing in the Super Cup. For PSG, it's their second appearance, but they'll be hoping it goes a lot better than it did in 1996 when they lost 9-2 on aggregate to Juventus. The Parisians, of course, are on the back of a perfect season from their point of view. They won Liga, both French Cups, and the Champions League, a historic quadruple. They could have made that a ridiculous quintuple? Who knows? If they'd have beaten Chelsea in the Club World Cup final. But that match in New Jersey was one step too far for the Parisians, who lost 3-0 to the Blues because of their participation in FIFA's controversial tournament. It means that PSG haven't really had a pre-season. They've played no official friendlies, so this will serve as their only real warm-up before they start the French League season against Nantes on Saturday. As for Spurs, well, Thomas Franks have had plenty of friendlies, which were all going pretty well until last week when they were dispatched by Bayern Munich.
You can't quite. Oh, but Bayern have just scored another one. And it's another very good one.
Yep, a 4-0 defeat away in Bavaria was the only blot on Spurs' pre-season copybook, as their other 5 matches ended in 3 draws and 2 wins. This is the first time that we properly get a glimpse of how Thomas Frank plans to reverse the fortunes of this Spurs team. Of course, under Ange Postecoglou, they did break their 17-year trophy drought, but as Daniel Levy, their chairman, explained on The Overlap, their league form last season made the Australians' position untenable.
I think we had to explain, Ange just won us a trophy, a European trophy, which is highly significant. It's always going to be in our history, and yet we were asking him to leave. But we can't lose sight of the fact we finished 17th in the league, we lost 22 Premier League games, and it's impossible for Tottenham to be in that position.
But however Daniel Levy tries to spin that decision to get rid of Postecoglou, there will be many Spurs fans who fundamentally disagree with it. Levy has not helped his popularity after a fairly slow summer so far in the transfer market. However, as we'll get into later, there could be an exciting addition around the corner. On Tuesday, Thomas Frank spoke to the media and he mentioned about how his side want to re-experience the feeling of winning a trophy.
My players, our players, they just won a big trophy. I can't remember, 6-7 weeks ago, so I had a fantastic experience of doing that, and they want to win more.
However, one blow for Spurs is that Yves Bissouma won't be available for selection for disciplinary reasons. Here's Frank explaining why during the press conference.
He's been late several times, and now this time, the latest time was just one too many.
Elsewhere for Spurs, Destiny Udogie is an injury concern, while Dominic Solanke is unlikely to make an appearance after missing most of pre-season. James Maddison is a long-term injury blow for Spurs. Meanwhile, for PSG, their biggest change is likely to be in goal. Gianluigi Donnarumma is on his way out, so Lucas Chevalier has been brought in from Lille as a likely replacement. João Neves will be unavailable after being sent off in the dying stages of the Club World Cup final. A new signing, Ilias Zabani, hasn't been registered in time to make the squad. Of course, most make PSG favourites for fairly obvious reasons. However, could their lack of pre-season be a bit of a leveller? PSG boss Luis Enrique spoke about that in his pre-match press conference.
But it's going to be difficult because they have been training for the last month and we are in our first week, but it's not an excuse.
And if you want to watch the game, it's at 8 p.m. UK time, at 3 p.m. Eastern time. It's live on TNT Sports in the UK and CBS Sports in the USA. And we would love to know from you, what is your prediction for the game? Let us know in the comments, either on Spotify, on TikTok, on YouTube, however you're watching this, and we'll read out some of the best ones tomorrow. Let's look at last night's football, when in the Champions League third round qualifying, Rangers came through their match in Czechia against Victoria Pilsen. The Scottish side was 3-0 up from the first leg, but things were much tougher in the away leg. They lost 2-1 on the night, but that big advantage from the match at Ibrox saw them through. Meanwhile, over in Turkey, what a game between Fenerbahce and Feyenoord. Now, the Dutch side were 2-1 up from the first leg last week, but Jose Mourinho's team, they took that defeat personally. They smashed Feyenoord 5-2 at the Sukru Sagrokoglu to book their place in the playoff round. Also joining them in the playoff round are Benfica, who saw off Nice, and Club Brugge, who beat Austria's Red Bull Salzburg. In England, it was the League Cup first round. The biggest upset of the round was League Two Bromley beating Ipswich Town on penalties. Ipswich, of course, relegated last season from the Premier League. And I love this, incredibly, it was Bromley's first ever win in the League Cup. What a way to do it. Also, League One Doncaster won 4-0 at Middlesbrough, and League One Bradford City won 2-1 away at Ewood Park. A cow on the motorway had delayed the 3,000 travelling Bantams fans, but fortunately, they did make it in time to see their side move into round two. Notable mentions as well for League One Plymouth Argyle, who recovered from 2-0 down at home against Championship side QPR to win 3-2, and League One Reading, who won 2-1 at Championship side Portsmouth. Tonight, another 5 games in the League Cup, including a tie between Championship promotion hopefuls Birmingham City and Sheffield United at 8 p.m. Next, an Everton signing of Jack Grealish was made official on Tuesday. He is chosen to wear the number 18 shirt, and here he is talking about the 2 previous Everton players that inspired him to pick that number.
My 2 favourite players, English players ever to play football is Wayne Rooney and Paul Gascoigne. So I've always known that when they played here, they both wore number 18. So as soon as I knew this deal was close, I had a look and number 18 was free, which was perfect.
Jack Grealish has joined Everton on loan until the end of the season, with reports suggesting that the Merseyside club have an option to buy the winger for £50 million at the end of the campaign. He will, of course, be playing his football at the Hill Dickinson Stadium, not Goodison Park. Thank you for all the messages I got yesterday about making that mistake. Force of habit, right? Also on Tuesday, more word on Alexander Isak, as the Swedish striker has escalated his efforts to leave St James's Park. On Monday, it was reported that Isak is looking more likely to stay, but now reports from the Telegraph state that he is upping his efforts to force a move. Additionally, Fabrizio Romano tweeted that Liverpool do intend to make a second bid, but only when Newcastle United open the doors to his exit, which in fairness, they've made fairly clear they won't unless they find a replacement, of which there aren't a huge amount. So I guess not loads has changed there. Earlier, I mentioned that there was Spurs gossip, and that is that Thomas Frank's side has expressed interest in signing Eberechi Essa from Crystal Palace, who has a £68 million release clause that expires this Friday. Eza has, of course, been linked for much of the summer with Arsenal, and here's former Premier League striker Darren Bent on TalkSport talking about why he believes this Spurs interest should force Arsenal's hand.
If that is a release clause of that amount of money, surely you'd think there'd be more clubs in than just Arsenal and Spurs. I'm talking about across Europe, because I think that's how good I think he is.
Yeah.
The fact that it hasn't happened yet, I'm hoping this gives Arsenal the kick they need to go and get him.
Yeah, it looks like we could actually see a little bit of a North London transfer battle here. Spurs are desperately in need of attacking midfielders following the injury to James Maddison and the sale of Son Heung-min to LAFC. And Eza would be a serious coup, made all the sweeter if they can beat their great rivals to the signing. Another transfer blow for Palace dropped on Tuesday, as sources told the BBC that Liverpool are stepping up their efforts to sign Mark Guehi. Fabrizio Romano then tweeted in the evening that the Reds have agreed personal terms with the English centre-back. Finally, PSG keeper Gianluigi Donnarumma posted a statement on social media on Tuesday night stating, "Somebody has decided I can no longer be a part of the group," before adding that he is disappointed and disheartened about the situation. Last up, could a version of NFL Red Zone be coming to the Premier League? Well, sort of, but interesting news on Tuesday that Sky Sports are launching a new way of watching Premier League football on a Sunday, and they are calling it Multi-view. And this is because from this season, the new TV deal in the UK means that all Premier League matches outside of the Saturday 3 p.m. blackout are now televised. And with more teams than ever before playing in European competition, there's now going to be a large chunk of matches taking place at 2 p.m. on a Sunday. And in order to keep across all of those 2 p.m. Sunday matches, Sky are introducing this service inspired by shows like Red Zone, where all of the games will be shown at once and the main camera will pan to the match where a key event is taking place. Now, of course, if you're an NFL fan, this is something you'll be very used to, given Red Zone's popularity, offering exactly the same facility for a number of years now. But as you probably know, things move a little bit more slow here in the UK. That's it then for First Up Football today. Thank you very much for getting involved with the show. Please continue to share it with whoever you can, and do get involved in the comments with your predictions for tonight's game between Spurs and PSG. And also thank you to everyone who has subscribed to our Substack at firstupfootball.com. We're so appreciative to those of you who have backed the podcast financially. It honestly means the absolute world. Tomorrow we'll look back at everything that happens in the Super Cup. Have a wonderful day.